Hi, I'm Rana. This is Social. Today I am going to make some delicious spaghetti bolognese. I'm making this, it's really a new recipe from my friend Sylvia. She's Italian, and being Italian, she's all into proper bologneses, which take like 8 or 9 hours to sit on the stove and this and that. She has devised a new way to make it, so I'm going to show you her new method, and it's fantastic. So we have 2 pounds of beef, lean beef. Definitely use lean because you're going to add back the fat with butter. So 2 pounds of beef, 1 pound of pork. We're going to go ahead and brown this, and then I'm going to show you what to do with your vegetables. Okay, so our meat is browning. It's going to take about 5 minutes to completely brown up. And now while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and prepare our vegetables. This is going to be a really quick blitz of the vegetables. So I'm going to chop our onions just into large chunks and throw it right in. So I have 3 onions. I use 3 onions because one of them seemed real small. If you have larger onions, just use 2. We'll go ahead and pop these in. And again, we're gonna do the same with our carrots and our celery. Just some large chunks, so no dicing like you would for a traditional bolognese. Okay, I'm gonna pop this all in here. And I'm gonna go ahead and pulse this. So it makes like a nice mash, and there are no big chunks left anymore. Take a quick little look. I'm going to do it maybe 2 more times. Okay, so we've blitzed our vegetables. Our meat is brown. We're going to go ahead and add our wine. We're going to turn up the heat, and we want to completely evaporate the wine. So let's quickly do that before we add our vegetables. Turn the heat up way high. And I've browned my meat. I've added the red wine. I am letting the alcohol evaporate. Some meat might have a little extra moisture than others. That's just fine. Just leave it in there. And in wanting to evaporate the red wine, the way to tell if you do have extra moisture is just try to smell. You know, by smell, you can really smell. If it smells like red wine or alcohol, you know you need to boil it a little longer. Well, mine is all set. It took about maybe 5 minutes, if that. And I'm going to go ahead and put my vegetables right on top. I'm going to let the vegetables sit there, and as they cook, all of their juices are going to, all of their liquids going to go down into the meat and make it that much more flavorful. Lastly, I also would like to say, do not add the salt that you're adding right now. You're adding to the top. You do not want to mix it through because the salt will harden the meat. So also when you're using butter, you want to use an unsalted butter. I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to let this simmer for 2 hours. In about half an hour, I'm going to give it a stir, and maybe every half hour I'll give it a stir. But in 2 hours, this should be ready for me to add my tomato sauce. Okay, so I have let my bolognese cook for 2 hours. Again, at the half-hour point, the first half hour, I stirred in the vegetables. The next half hour, I actually added a bay leaf, I stirred again, and now here we are. So it's 2 hours later. I'm going to remove my bay leaf, and a couple of things worth saying. Let me give you a little look at this. A couple of things worth saying is, you know, all meat is different, and some meat will release a bit more water than others. So if you find that you are, you have a lot of excess liquid, you know, drain some of it off. You can always add it back in, reserve it, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to add, excuse me, some passata. This is just pureed tomatoes. That is it. The reason that you don't cook the meat with the tomatoes is because the tomatoes retard the cooking process and will make your meat tough. So we're just adding it right in at the end. And this being said, if you have meat that's very dry, go ahead and add some passata while you're cooking. So at the half-hour marks, if it's too dry, add a little passata or add a touch of water. So we're going to stir that. And then lastly, this looks really good and smells really good. Lastly, I have some double concentrate tomato paste. This isn't the tomato paste that comes in the tins like the Del Monte. This is, and you could use that, but this is a double concentrate paste. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, and I'm going to put probably about half the tube in. Again, go ahead and put in a quarter of the tube, mix it in, and have a taste and see if you want to add more or not. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to stir this. And to make it very authentic Bolognese, you're really meant to add some butter. And I am going to go ahead and do that. You do not have to, but again, as I said at the beginning, use very low fat content meat because we are going to be adding in more butter. You don't have to taste it beforehand. This recipe really calls for about 1 stick of butter, so it's half a cup of butter. And I'm gonna add almost that much. So, and I'm gonna give it a taste once this melts in. It's so real hot. Okay. Let me get out a spoon. I'm gonna taste it. And this is the time to taste, and you can add your salt, you can add more tomato paste, add some pepper. It's really quite delicious. It does need a little pepper. And I have to say, if you don't want to sit and have your sauce on the stove for 4, 5, 6 hours for a traditional Bolognese, this one is absolutely superb. Now let's see. Really delicious. There we have it, Bolognese.